Well, Georgia's Senate race is heating up. Personal matters plaguing both candidates. Both Republican Herschel Walker and Democrat Raphael Warnock are going as far as pinpointing family issues, from domestic violence claims to abortion. What does this all mean for voters in Georgia and the way they're viewing this race? Joining us now to discuss is Democratic political analyst Jason Nichols. Also joining us is GOP strategist John Burnett. John and Jason, great to have you back for our power panel here. I want to kick it off with this. Earlier this week, of course, there was the report that alleged that back in 2009, Herschel Walker aided his girlfriend at the time in getting an abortion shortly after she became pregnant. I want to start with you, Jason. Maybe this is Georgia's October surprise. How do you think voters are going to be looking at Herschel Walker in light of these latest allegations, particularly the feud that he's had with his son, the very public feud that's played out on social media, where his son, Christian Walker, has been blasting his father on social media? Do you think that that's going to take away some of his support there?
Honestly, I don't. I think he's still going to have lots of support from MAGA voters, because MAGA voters aren't character voters. They don't really care about the character of their candidate, or else there would be no MAGA, because it would have ended after the Access Hollywood tape, or after the fact that there have been 25 plus women who accused the former president of sexual misconduct. So I don't think that this is really going to affect his base of support. And again, I don't think this is really about him paying for an abortion either. I think the larger and more important allegations are the ones that Christian Walker is making about him threatening to kill his family and him making them move 6 times in 6 months. I think those are much bigger and weightier allegations than him paying for an abortion. But I don't think this is really going to affect the base of the MAGA voters. They don't think about these kinds of things. They oftentimes said that Donald Trump is not the Pope, so they didn't care about his character or what it is that he did. So I really don't think this is going to dig into that.
John?
Well, it's interesting that Mr. Nichols, constantly made a reference to Republican voters as a base. It goes way beyond a base, right? They're trying to minimize people that are fed up with the economy, fed up with, being censored and so forth. And if we're really going to talk about values, right, and fostering respect, on the other side, we have Reverend Warnock, right? And his ex-wife or girlfriend, whatever you want to call her, she has lodged complaints and allegations and even lawsuits that he is not living up to the standard of being a father, let alone a good husband, because of his abuse, right? Emotionally and in some instances physical. And he is a pastor, right? At the famous Ebenezer Baptist Church, where Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King actually launched the civil rights movement, right? So if we're going to talk about character, let's talk about character on both sides. But Republican voters are saying, look, both men are apparently fundamentally flawed, right? But let's get back to the issues. What do voters want? They don't want this massive hyperinflation, right? What they don't want is to be victims of crimes, right? Why? Because they're defunding the police and creating an unsafe environment. What they don't want is all this nonsense coming into our public schools. They want to get back to basic math, science, and actually preparing our children for the future.
Yeah, Jason, let's pick up on defunding the police. That was something that Cori Bush had doubled down on earlier this week. Does that help or hurt the party?
Well, again, Cori Bush is one of, I think, 435 people in the House. I don't think that this necessarily affects many other people who are running for office. As we know, the Democrats are the big tent party. And as a matter of fact, when we look at the facts of defund the police, most areas have not defunded the police. And a lot of the areas have actually increased their police funding and have still seen spikes in homicides and murders, like in Kern County and Bakersfield, California, which is Kevin McCarthy's district, which is more dangerous than Los Angeles. So this doesn't necessarily factor in. And I think that, you know, the playbook of the MAGA crowd is to build some sort of equivalence. Now, the allegations against Reverend Warnock are that he travels and leaves his children with babysitters. Herschel Walker hasn't seen one of his children in 7 years and denied 2 of them existed, including to his own campaign. So there's no real equivalence here. There's no allegation that Reverend Warnock was threatening to kill his wife and children. He allegedly ran over his wife's foot. Police found no bruises, no scratches, no scars, no fractures.
And he also wasn't charged.
Ran over her foot.
Jason,
So
I just want to, I don't want to cut you off, Jason, but we're running out of time on the panel, and I want to hit one other thing here. I want to turn to this. Rapper Kanye West and conservative host Candace Owens, they're facing backlash over wearing White Lives Matter T-shirts. Kanye had apparently a text exchange with his father, a former Black Panther. His father came to his defense saying Kanye is, quote unquote, stating the obvious. Quick reactions. John, we'll start with you.
Well, I think it was a brilliant strategy to get people to start talking about, you know, what Candace Owens' film, which will be released next week, is really highlighting, right? How much of BLM is a scam in terms of raising $80 million, but no Black neighborhoods actually saw it. Why? Because it was used as a GOTV effort, get out the vote, for Blacks to go to the polls and vote Democrat. Why? Because Black votes matter to Democrats, not Black lives.
Okay, Jason, I'm going to give you the final word here, 30 seconds.
Well, I think that, first of all, Kanye West and Candace Owens are internet trolls. And, you know, I think internet trolls at a certain point need to be ignored. I think it is the obvious. I would agree with Kanye West's father. It is the obvious that white lives matter. But we never had that in question. What is in question is whether Black families will get justice when their children die or when their children are killed, either by vigilantes or by law enforcement. And that's where this movement started. I don't care about an organization, and nor should anybody. It was more about the statement that was not the obvious for my ancestors or for John's ancestors. And it's certainly at times not the case today. And that's something that we need to address. And this was just a troll, so more power to them. Good luck.
Let's address Black empowerment, not scams.
All right, Jason Nichols, John Burnett, we are out of time. Appreciate you both. Hope to see you here next week.
Absolutely.